Yep. All right, let me check on YouTube real quick. That should be streaming. All right, give me 1 second. All right, yo, what is going on, guys? This is Cyberhorn92 here, and I'd like to say, hope everyone have a good day. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, turn on post notification. It's been a while I did a podcast. I'll be trying to do more podcasts in the future as a pro player and content creator as YouTuber industry. Yeah, so this is gonna be the Yu-Gi-Oh! The history of Zack Stone. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, anytime. And today, just in case you guys didn't know, today's his birthday. Happy birthday, by the way. And I'd like to say thank you for your time, for this opportunity, for having you on here, by the way.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, Robin. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get to know you, and then from the insight from you, so make other players want to get in competitive like you, since you we all know that you've been playing this game for quite a long time. But yeah. How you got into the game in the first place?
I definitely was into the show as a kid. Um, I have like some fond memories of like Mokuba being taken by Pegasus and um, a few others. So I owned cards as a kid, and I definitely didn't know what I was doing with them. Because one of my memories I have is going through my old stuff as a kid, and I saw a ripped Koichi that was ultimate rare,
Oh no.
just in like a plastic bin. So yeah, that is that is one of my fondest memories as a kid. Just realizing that like I had a card that was worth money and I didn't take care of it properly.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Especially looking those days, like those old school, those structured that Yugi and Kaiba. Oh my, like they were like so expensive, like to today. Since a lot of collection as well. Um, yeah, you have anything to add to it, or you're good at the moment?
The obsession grew more towards wanting to play outside of just like amongst myself at home, and the uh, the chance came in like high school. I got to play in like a club in like a lunchtime and after school, and few people brought decks, and one of my good friends actually. It's one of the first times I met him. He whooped my ass with a Macro Monarch deck.
Oh no, dang. Okay.
So yeah, and from there he introduced me to locals. I learned how to take the bus. I started going to locals, and this was during Edison format of 2010 March.
Oh wow,
So
you're a long time.
yeah, that was when I started playing the game, and just slowly took off from there. I definitely took breaks or so-called quit and came back because you never really quit.
That's
And I put myself in the position I'm in here now, just from very humble beginnings, from what I like to say.
Yeah, that is true, and it's pretty cool. When you mentioned about Edison since 2010, what's your thoughts about they did announce for the WCQ or national that they're doing a huge Edison tournament. You have
That's
any?
a good sign that Konami is listening to the player base. They understand that it's a big reason for people to continue playing. Uh, and I hope that they have more innovative ideas that they can bring to the community. I feel like there's some that I'm thinking of, but again, there's just a lot more um, that the community has asked for, and it's good to see steps like this, steps Konami's taking in the right direction for sure. So I think it's good. I like it, and I encourage everybody to really take the Time Wizard format seriously, because I think there's going to be a pretty big incentive to want to like keep up with older formats.
Yeah, that is true. And like, just in case if like no one doesn't like the format, because like we're still in a format like diverse. It's like since the banners came out like maybe like a week or 2 weeks ago, people didn't know what's going on. More events are happening and nationals coming in North America. Mention about that. Will you be going to national this year?
Yeah, I'm going to be at the North American WCQ and hopefully see a lot of friends that I don't get to see often there.
For sure, for sure. And looking forward to seeing you there. And just in case if anyone do go, you guys do see Zach, tell Zach I say hi to him since you guys are watching the podcast, just in case. um, but yeah, what are you most known for as a Yu-Gi-Oh player besides you're a pro player besides that part?
Um, I have, uh, I guess, been playing since 2010. My first Premier Top was in 2015 with Necroz, and a majority of the regional tops that I have are just based in this area. So the thing I'm most known for has to be um, the the Yangzing Metafo deck. There are a lot of people talk to me about that, especially when Danglong came off the ban list in the most recent Forbidden and Limited list. So um, probably that top at YCS Anaheim was what I was most known for. And if it wasn't that, then I feel like the Zephyr Pendulum deck I played at Portland was another one. So, but I have 9 Premier Tops, and my name is frequented throughout the years if you look it up. So I think just remaining consistent over the course of 8 years is kind of like helped build my name. But it's hard for me to say that there's like one specific thing that I'm known for.
Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty cool story. And you mentioned about the Yang Zing. One of the Yang Zing came off the list. Do you think that will be more impactful within the format or stuff like that?
So my opinion should be taken with a grain of salt because I have tested absolutely zero Danglong combos since the announcement and the changes made. So I don't know if it's going to be very impactful. I have felt that like Konami has done a good job with unbanning certain cards, not to unban the wrong ones. I feel like they don't want to make the same mistake they did with Imperial Order again.
Mhm.
So they're very careful on what they unlimit and from the ban list. What they unban from the ban list, I mean. And so I don't know it's gonna do any. I don't know if it's gonna do anything. I have seen people try to play like combos with it, but I feel like you're just having to play more cards in your deck that um, are more engine requirements and cards you don't want to open with, just to make the card have see play. However, I think it's a good addition to Sword Soul variants. I feel like it gives a lot of room to splash other cards and play through like hand traps realistically. So I like the card. Again, it's one of my favorites, and I'm happy to see it back. But I have yet to test anything with it, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. And like mentioned about that, like when Konami will like release a banned card, like people just like somehow to make that card insane, then people like Saberstein, Smash Steel, and then they just like start banning that card since like they know like oh it was a huge mistake from doing so. But yeah, I do respect it. Plus, it's been a while since that card got banned. Um, yeah. Uh, any advice? How can people get better at the game since you're up there?
Um, I think a lot of people hold the idea of success in terms of like having to perform well, having to do well. Um, I think a lot of people undervalue like the knowledge of like the card pool and like card interactions. I think having the knowledge of just knowing all the cards that exist in the game and knowing the like interactions and rulings and like what's going to happen when a chain link resolves, like having that knowledge ahead of time, I think is very helpful. Um, I will say though that like there is a talent that some players have, and it's hard to describe what the talent is, but that's just what talent I believe is. Like you have it, you're born with it, and you can really hone in on it. So, not to say not everyone has the ability to get there. It's just like a lot of talent in the game can really like put you in a really good place, and understanding what your talents are, I think, are going to do people the most justice. No pun intended on the talents, by the way.
Yeah, that is true. And thank you for sharing that information. Because that kind of remind me that Jesse Cotton's been on the rise because he's been playing that game quite a long time, and basically that consistency theory and like just like a lot of play testing. Have a bunch of people bouncing ideas, what works, what doesn't work, and watching deck profiles. Like there's just like so much resource like to today. 'Cause back in the day, we didn't have that much resource besides like Argos, Pojos, or something like that.
Yes, so I do think that does have an impact. I think that there's a lot of players that have grown because of that, and their knowledge of the game has just has been the amount of knowledge that's available, and the ability to apply it without having to buy the cards and own the cards. Like resources like Master Duel and Dueling Book can be very helpful for players to put in the time when they may not have the time to leave their house, per se. So I think that does change a lot, and it can. I still think that there's a separation from the good and the best, if that makes sense, or the good and the better. So everyone has these tools available to them. It's kind of what you do with it, and I will say that you know a lot of people do remember, or a lot of people may not remember uh, Jesse Cotton having humble beginnings, but I feel like that's something a lot of people need to remember too. Is that like you have to start from humble beginnings, and you have to be okay with like slowly progressing as a player. Um,
That is true.
and not everyone's journey is the same.
That is true. That is true. Like just like basically, I think the best advice is like just keep on playing. Like if you've been losing, seeing what works, seeing like what you could have done, or like play with like somebody like better than you. So like sharing ideas, and then like you guys can like both grow from it. That's what I've been hearing. How to get better at the game. I think Billy Break said that, or someone else. Um, how many hours does it take you to make your deck usually prior?
Oh man, no one's gonna like to hear this answer. I spend very little time building decks because I take a lot of ideas that I have seen or observed other people do. Because my talent in the game isn't deck building. My talent in the game is technical play. So I find at least I look for a lot of ideas. I don't just like copy one person's like homework, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing to do. If you choose to do that, that's fine. However,
Mhm.
what's worked for me is like developing or just figuring out what I can do with like with my certain play style, because I know how I like to play. I know the decks that I like to play. Um,
Mhm.
but also like taking into consideration what other people are doing and seeing if I like it or not. And I start to when I do that, I start to find like more consistent patterns in like the cards that I'm playing, like the card choices. So it does help me learn that like, oh, this is a good recipe that I have because it looks very similar to other recipes that I have.
Mhm.
And because of that, I think I have improved in deck building. However, it's still not my strong suit, and I like to focus on my strong suits, my technical play, and my ability to just see what's going to happen in the future. Not that I know the future, but just the potentials and the possibilities for me to understand is I think what carries a lot of my weight.
Okay, makes sense. That's a pretty cool answer. I don't think I never heard of it. I think you're the first one I can think of top of my head by far saying that. How much playtest do you usually give before going to the event? Would you say?
Um, I will give as much time as I possibly have. However, I like to at least fit in 2 to 4 hours a day of just like solid testing, touching cards, or if I can go to locals twice a week and as well like go online and play amongst friends. That's what I like to aim for. Um, and again, like it's a game that I do play competitively. However, I am only putting so much time and energy into it. So I also like if I don't like perform well or do well, like I'm not so hung up on it because I know I could have been putting more time into it, and I if I really want that, I know what it takes, and so far I haven't felt like I wanted it. The most recent event that I did well at the 250th, I did play locals for like a month and a half, twice a week, every week, and I was on Dueling Book talking and theorying with a lot of people because that's mainly what I like to do is talk based off theory, and theory doesn't always work. I want people to know that you have to really like apply the practice or apply the theory into practice and see what happens and
Mhm.
take the results as feedback. But theory does like help as in terms of like adding time to what I feel like is necessary to perform well at an event.
Yeah, that is true. Even I said to myself and other people, like Gary would work most of the time, but like don't forget, like there's always gonna be luck, RNG always gonna happen. Like I know it's like very less, but like anything happens scenario. Even the
Mm-hmm.
people make the best of the deck and can like literally loosen the bubble. That happened to me like last year at National. I made the deck really good. I went 7-1 day one, and then day two I lost both of them because my phone didn't have this one card I couldn't out it, and then time wasn't involved. But it is what it is.
Yeah, there are some people that don't need to study as much to do well on the tests. Even like outside of Yu-Gi-Oh, you can apply. You can think of someone you knew in school or college, maybe that didn't have to study so much, and they pass with flying colors, and you'd be like, "How do you do that?" And that's just a talent that person has. Everyone has their own talents. You have to really discover that.
That is true, and try to do the best play as much as possible. Try not to misplay because every little misplay can cost you the game.
Yeah, increasing your chances to win is 100% the best way to take it. Yeah.
That is true. That's true. What else? How many tops do you have in total that you can think of the top of your head at the moment?
I do have 9 premier Konami tops. And I don't have like any other like non Konami tops. During the during the pandemic, when online play was the only thing available, there was a luxury championship series that I won. Um, Outside of that, I have I have regional tops, but I only have one regional win.
Okay, congrats on your accomplishment, and looking forward more accomplishment. Just as a start. Uh,
Trying to get double digits. I'm trying to go for 10 tops, and I want to and I would love to win an event. That would be my goal.
yep, and like by the time when you keep on oh, don't forget about me. Yep. What is your favorite event and least favorite event? Would you say?
One of my most favorite events has to be YCS Minneapolis in 2016. Um, Fun times with close friends. I had a blast with my friends Ed and Trinell. We stayed in a nice hotel. During that time, we had a sponsor who was paying for our flights, paying for or all the cards we had were borrowed, and paying for accommodations along the way, including food, hotel stay, and whatever we may need during the time. And I had the most fun outside the event too, for sure. And least favorite event, man. It's not that I have a lot, but I just had a one too many negative experiences out of the Nationals in Texas in 2018. So that was my least favorite event, but it had really nothing to do with like the tournament quality. I didn't prepare well, so I didn't do well. On top of that, other things personally that were affecting me were going on. So that event wasn't my favorite event, but for that reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I understand on that part. But at least end of the day, just try to improve as much as possible, and don't let that history happen again. But do you have any favorite stories about the game in general that you want to share?
Favorite stories about the game. So I think one of my favorite stories. It's kind of funny. It was at the I think it was the UDS in Los Angeles. Yeah, it was the UDS in Los Angeles, and I have many favorite moments from that event because one of my friends won that UDS belt that day. But um, I was walking amongst Ed and someone else, and Ed is watching Aaron Furman place an Infernoid player in the finals of a giant card, and uh, Ed notices the Infernoid player do a play that's not legal, and then he mentions, "Hey, that doesn't work that way, or you can't do that." And Furman goes, "Oh, thank you." And I guess Ed knew the Infernoid guy, so the Infernoid guy was like, "What the hell?" And he's like, Ed was like, "I ain't gonna let you do that, bro." And so, um, apparently, Aaron ended up winning the match because he was going to lose on the spot if that play happened,
Oh
but it
no.
didn't, and Aaron ended up winning the match and winning the giant card. So it's a very, very funny story.
Dang.
And
That's
I do know the Infernoid player. I'm not gonna put their name out there,
Mhm.
but they know who they are. And again, it's like textbook on how they reacted.
That's true. That's true. What's your thoughts about the band list? Do you like it or you don't like it, or would you change anything about it?
I think it, I think it addressed. I think it took care of a lot of good problems. However, I feel like it missed a few. It could have started. It could have started with not hitting super heavy samurai too hard. I believe limiting the link one was a better start. Give it the parent kids treatment. Allow it to exist, but don't allow it to have like multiple link ones because I do think they are bad for the game. Like one card shouldn't turn into another card, and that's not healthy. However, um, I think it was good that they took care of Cyberstein. I think it was good that they brought back some of the Sky Striker cards because I feel like those cards are going to change, make an impact on the meta. It's definitely going to impact deck building, and I think a lot of people are going to see certain card choices favor in and out. I believe DD Crow might see a little bit more play rather than the or including the Bestials, but DD Crow might see a little bit more play just because you can target cards and not just light and dark monsters.
That is.
Um, however, they could have done more. If they banned Gimmick Puppet, that would have been fine. The deck, Branded doesn't need Gimmick Puppet to win. I like the idea. I like having it, but without Expulsion, it's a lot harder. And you most often have to give up Mirror Jade if you're going Sanctifier. You have to open up like the right combination of cards for you to have both in the end of the turn and dump the Gimmick Puppet. So I don't know if it's feasible. Um, and I think they could have done a little bit more because like semi-limiting cards like Sprite Starter and Runic Fountain I don't think do too much.
Hmm.
So if you're gonna like semi-limit them, I feel like you need to like semi-limit maybe all the other runic spells, you know what I mean? Kind of make that deck like one less copy of a starter.
That is true. Because
So
like it would just like randomly hit like when they put starter out to it doesn't do much because like the deck can still be played and they've been doing really well. Other nationals, I've been looking into it recently.
yeah, like the live twin sprite runic deck is pretty good still. And I also feel that like maybe Konami has they don't want to put too many cards on the ban list. Like they feel like it's gonna maybe they believe that it's gonna reflect poorly on how they're making cards. But
Hmm.
I don't think I think that's the wrong approach if that's the approach they're taking. They should
That's.
be willing to, do what's right to make healthy changes and possibly learn from these mistakes if that's what they are.
Hmm.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a lot of cards on a ban list.
That is true. That is true. So I know this is an interesting question. How long do you see yourself playing this game? Like forever, or like is there like age that you want to stop or the main format? Just curious on that part.
I can see myself walking away from the game when I believe I have not enough time to pursue other things. Like if I can pursue other things that I want to do and still play, I will.
Just.
The moment I feel like I can't have any eggs in the basket, I have to take some eggs out of the baskets I have, then Yu-Gi-Oh could be up for the consideration. That is something that I've definitely thought about more recently.
Mhm.
As it's my birthday, I'm getting older, so I start to think a little bit more about like what I'm doing and how how long I want to be doing it for. Um, so I've turned this hobby into a more of a passion and like a lifestyle per se, because I do like going to the events. I do like seeing people, and it's refreshing to have conversations with familiar faces and like catch up.
Yeah, no, understand, and like I can actually see that because most of the people are into just seeing because of hobbies make fun. I myself have a hard time making friends. I'm so grateful, like keeping the connections with other people, and it's like really rarely to find that opportunity to have one. What do you do for a living? If that's okay asking.
Um, I help run a card store in Long Beach, and I primarily just buy and sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards as a third party vendor at Frankenson's collectible show. So it is essentially like my job. Um, at events, I'm trading to get the cards I need for my inventory, getting rid of cards that I can't move where I'm at, and selling online is my main outlet. So yeah, I've essentially turned this hobby into a lifestyle, like I said, and it is my only way of making a living.
That
Um,
is true.
I think investing in cards is also very smart and intelligent. I have a lot of thoughts about like the market, and if anyone listening does have questions about like financial decisions or potentially wanting to like put money into the game, like and kind of getting money out of it too, not just like pouring money constantly, because it's like you feel like you're going to put all this money into a game, and then next couple months, new cards come out, your deck starts to get power crept. You buy the new deck, it gets banned in a week.
It is like a loophole.
It feels like you're just putting money constantly in, and I think there's a way to mitigate that. A lot of content creators in the Yu-Gi-Oh space talk about like how to play budget decks, but I feel like they're not talking about how to like look into certain sets and like, hey, pick up these cards while they're this, and slowly build this, and eventually get yourself out of the budget grind, because all you need is like one power spike. All you need to do is like be good with one deck at the right time, and you can start winning a lot of tournaments and going from there.
That
um
is true.
if that's what people want to do. Some people just want to play casually and can afford the cards and don't mind.
Yeah, that is true, and I didn't know about that. I should probably look into it. Maybe I should talk to you more about since you know about that stuff. Since I've been like pouring, like I don't know like what to buy. I just like constantly buying cards when I don't need them, but like maybe in the future. But I should probably rethink about that.
Yeah, and it's about knowing when to get rid of certain cards too, and it would help to keep like a little track record of how much you're spending on certain things, and like I don't want to have like a jaded perspective due to my ability to buy in cards behind a booth, but
Hmm.
I think that a lot of people can approach it differently, and it's really helpful to build relationships with certain people in the community. Um, all the locals people have the guy that has a lot of cards, and getting acquainted with them, finding out where finding out what extra cards they may want to let go of, and realizing when the right time to pick up certain cards really can help. And so it's just about just putting yourself out there, getting to know more people, and building relationships, and just being a good person.
Yeah, that's actually good. And thank you for sharing about that. I never when every time I do a podcast, no one ever never brought it up. I'm so happy you brought that up. To be honest. Do you do any hobbies on your free time besides Yu-Gi-Oh? By the way.
Besides Yu-Gi-Oh, there are some video games that I'll play just casually or with my girlfriend. I I don't I don't necessarily do like other crafts or anything. Like I'm not an artist in any way. I like to attend comedy shows, and I like to kind of watch a lot of stand up comedy. So that is one of my main interests outside of the game is comedy.
Very nice, very nice. Do you have a favorite deck and least favorite deck throughout Yu-Gi-Oh that you play?
of all time, my most favorite deck probably was Necroz. Um, it just felt so back and forth, and like I really like decks that can reward you for playing really well, and that was a deck that can reward you for playing really well. Um, and then like least favorite deck, and it would obviously it's a least favorite deck to play against. Um, I would dislike having to play against any sort of like hand loop deck, like
Oh,
wind ups, or like the Cyframe Omega Trishula Synchro deck. That
oh
deck was
yeah,
annoying. Um, anything that just takes cards out of my hand when before I get to play a card,
yeah.
I get like frustrated.
That's
And,
true.
and then like goat format exists where cards like Delinquent Duo can take two cards out of your hand turn one.
Yo, yo.
So so other than that, um other than that, yeah, those would be my least favorite decks because I tend to be a pretty indifferent about a deck that I think operates fairly. Deck that can trade resources well, or just a deck that just likes to put its whole hand on the board turn one is fine with me. I just don't want you taking cards out of mine.
That is true. That is true. That's not healthy the game. Maybe hopefully Konami like fix that, but like it's already too late since like car exists. But can't do nothing about it unless like Max sees off the list, then maybe it will be helpful. Like drawing into it more cards since we try to handle you, they get punished for doing so. um, yeah. Do you think that Yu-Gi-Oh is a teamwork or individuals or can be both in general?
Uh, Yu-Gi-Oh can be both. However, um, I think it's helpful to be able to work with a team in Yu-Gi-Oh as well as knowing how to, do the work yourself. Because you'll have moments where both of those are required. Um, and and if you had to choose between one, I would much rather just say Yu-Gi-Oh is a game. It's more of an individual based game. Um, but I think we can learn from other people too, and that's what I think is better to be open about.
That is true. I think that's about it for ending this video. Go check out Zach at Frankinsons just in case people need to buy cards from you.
Follow me on Stone Brand Cards. You can always ask me any questions you may have. Reach out to me there. Follow
And
Yu-Gi-Oh Memes 2.0 on Instagram, on Facebook, all socials.
yes, sir, yes, sir. And like I said, thank you for your time. And your boy Cyberhorn 92 and Zach is signing out.
Thank you
Peace.
again, Robin.
Yep.